CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
A farmer has shot and killed a large cougar in Ucluelet after he suspected the big cat was stalking his horses. Conservation officers say the farmer was within his rights when he took aim and shot the cat last week. They say just a week before the farmer pulled the trigger, they were trying to get the cougar themselves, tracking it with a pack of hounds, but the dogs couldn't nail down the scent. Parks Canada staff and people living in the Ucluelet area say cougar and wolf activity on the Pacific Rim is up substantially this winter. A huge sea lion has washed ashore at Piper's Lagoon in Nanaimo. The people who live in the area discovered the massive marine mammal, which they believe weighs in at about 750 kilograms. That's about 1,600 pounds. Neighbors believe it's been there a couple of days. They say sea lions are common in the waters surrounding the area. This is the first one they've seen dead on the beach, and it's a big one. 2 months ago, a number of dead sea lions washed ashore near Campbell River. All of them had been decapitated. This sea lion has not been and is not thought to be connected with that group.
I think it's huge, amazing.
You know, you watch them out in the water there and they poke their head out and they kind of bark. But I never once saw that they had that much to their body.
Marine experts say the sea lion carcass shows no obvious signs of trauma. The cause of death is not clear. The Department of Fisheries leaves marine mammals to decompose naturally. And despite its size, for that reason, they do not plan a necropsy on this sea lion. Crystal Pool and the Fernwood Community Centre are getting upgrades with federal money. The two facilities will share more than $140,000 in infrastructure funding announced today. The city says the facilities are both popular with people throughout the community, but they're dated, and the upgrade will go a long way.
Those are the investments in our citizens, the ones that help that day-to-day life, whether you're going to your local pool, whether you're going to your local community center, that really are important to our citizens. So for us, this is an earth-shattering day in the sense that it's an opportunity to make sure that these community facilities are here today and here in the future for our citizens.
The Fernwood Community Centre gets a new heating system, which the city says will help significantly with air quality and with energy savings. And the Crystal Pool will get badly needed electrical upgrades, improving safety for pool operators. The City of Victoria is contributing to the upgrades as well, matching each dollar invested by the federal government. A new restaurant will open up in the historic CPR Steamship Building in Victoria's Inner Harbour. Romer's Waterfront Tap Room will move in and plans to have its doors open this summer. The coffee bar and full-service restaurant is taking over part of the building's second floor. The Greater Victoria Harbour Authority has a 40-year lease on the refurbished building and is looking for tenants to sublease and to help balance its vision of a mixed commercial and public use building. The other tenant confirmed so far is the Robert Bateman Foundation and Gallery. It could be open as early as this spring. The building used to be home to the Royal London Wax Museum. It moved out in 2010 after decades of operation. Another reason to love the island, of course, is our diverse ecosystems. And one of the most endangered is Victoria's Garry Oak Meadows. This morning, students from Quadra Elementary School gave Mother Nature a hand as they helped to restore the Garry Oak Meadow on their school grounds. These pint-sized arborists got down and dirty, planting more than 300 bulbs, which will see the meadow pop with purple blooms in the spring. The restoration has been an ongoing project led by the school's PAC. In the fall, the students prepped the ground with a combination of cardboard and mulch to provide the perfect growing conditions.
These trees have been starved of nutrients for quite a long time. By putting our garden beds underneath the trees over their root zones, that's going to help enormously. If we learn about creating healthy soil, then we can all be gardeners. It's part of food self-sufficiency, and it's about being in touch with nature.
Why are you guys planting bulbs? Do you know?
To help the oak trees. Yeah, the Garry Oak trees.
The Habitat Acquisition Trust also donated a number of flowering shrubs for the Garry Oak Meadow, which it says will attract birds and butterflies, which will help the entire neighborhood. There's been another school shooting in the United States. Police near Houston, Texas took one person into custody today and searched for a possible second shooter after at least 3 people were shot and wounded at a college. Police surrounded the school as SWAT teams escorted students to safety. Eyewitnesses say the gunshots rang out outside a classroom this afternoon. Police believe the shooting was the result of an altercation between 2 people, one of them a student. 3 bystanders were caught in the crossfire. Police have 1 person detained and search for a second suspect tonight. A 12-year-old Quebec boy is facing charges of shooting his 16-year-old brother in the head. The older boy died in the hospital after the shooting in the family home in Dorval. The younger brother called police early yesterday evening to say that the shooting was an accident. This morning, police charged the 12-year-old boy with manslaughter and illegal possession of a prohibited weapon. Here in Victoria, Vic PD says it's shut down a significant dial-a-dope operation, seizing a handgun and $25,000 in cash, as well as thousands of dollars worth of drugs. The operation ran from Soup to Sydney and all points in between. One of the locations associated with the operation was the 1400 block of Stadacona Avenue. Vic PD says something that stood out in this case was the method used to transport the drugs.
So I think one of the most unusual things here is, as our strike force members were telling me about, is the Duracell batteries that were used inside the mag light to actually conceal some of the drugs. Apparently they had the two real Duracell batteries, but in the middle was a fake with a screw-on back where some of the drugs were actually located.
That fake Duracell stood out because of a spelling mistake, an S where the C should have been. Police arrested one man and two women. They say they are relatively unknown to officers. Police say they'll be making an application to the Civil Forfeiture Office to force the owners to forfeit 2 homes used in the operation. Well, the defense at the Queen of the North trial went hard at BC Ferries today, blaming training and equipment for the crash that sank the ship. Carl Lilgert was at the helm. He's charged with criminal negligence causing the deaths of 2 passengers on board the Queen of the North, whose bodies have not been recovered. His lawyers argue that he was never trained on a key piece of navigation equipment, and they say some crew members called it a box of lies because of its inaccuracies. A BC Ferries officer on the stand responded by saying that senior officers would often show crew members how to use the equipment, but admitted there was no formal training per se. He also testified that he had never heard that navigation device referred to by crew as the box of lies. The trial continues. The Republican governor of Nebraska has now approved the new route through his state for the Keystone XL pipeline. The next stop for approval is the U.S. State Department and the White House. Environmentalists say this will be the first test of President Barack Obama's commitment to fighting climate change. If it's approved, the Keystone pipeline would ship oil sands to refineries on the Gulf Coast. The NANAIMO fire crews were called to a home on Brecon Road just before midnight last night. Crews quickly attacked the flames after seeing black smoke billowing from a second-floor bedroom. No one was hurt, but the 5 tenants will have to find somewhere else to stay while smoke and water damage is repaired. The upper suite in the home had no working smoke alarms. Fire crews, once again, are stressing the importance of them.
Bottom line is make sure all your smoke alarms work. If you can't hear them, they're not going to do you any good. So check them.
None of the tenants had insurance, and the NANAIMO Fire Rescue Community Assistance Program is helping them out with 72 hours assistance. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. 2 people were taken to the hospital late this afternoon after a vehicle crashed into another at a stoplight. It happened just before 5 o'clock at Fitzwilliam and Pine Streets in Nanaimo. First responders say a man was driving when he veered onto the sidewalk, drove through the intersection, crashed into a stopped car, and then pushed it onto an embankment.
Quick work by the guys. We managed to pull the one car out of the way and use the jaws to extricate the lady. Both passengers, or both occupants, have been sent to the hospital with undetermined injuries.
The woman in the driver's seat was the only occupant of the car that was struck. Fire crews had to extricate her from her vehicle. Neither driver is suspected to have life-threatening injuries. A telephone scam has drained $7,500 from a Nanaimo man after the caller pretended to be his grandson in desperate need of cash. It's a familiar scam known as the grandson scam, and Mounties are warning that it has resurfaced in Nanaimo. They say it starts when the scammer phones an unsuspecting grandparent claiming that he's in jail or he's been in a car accident and needs money for bail. The scammer then says his lawyer will call with the details where to transfer the money, which this time was a Western Union kiosk in Nanaimo.
Well, the bottom line is that these people are pressuring for money. And anytime somebody's pressuring for money, you have an onus upon yourself to ask questions. And there's going to be some pushback. But if you get pushback, there's a reason why. And often it's the fraud. So in this case, you might want to stop for a second, ask those questions, identify what the accident was, who you are, who the person was. And if you're not satisfied with the answers, don't send the money.
It happened on January 17th, but the grandfather did not realize that he'd been ripped off until he was speaking with his son 2 days later. An arena in Nanaimo that recently underwent close to $2 million in upgrades is now in need of repairs. Cliff McNabb Arena's new snow guard system failed the test of winter. The arena underwent $1.9 million in renovations, including a new roof. The 17-year-old building was leaking water onto the arena ice, so both interior and exterior upgrades were added to solve the problem and to save energy costs. The new roof saw its first dump of snow earlier this month, and arena staff realized that the gap between the metal snow guards and the roof membrane let snow and ice fall through and right into the path of the people going through the arena's main entranceways.
Like with any new installation, say if you have a new house, you learn to operate the new thing, and this is part of the process where we are now.
The city says the roof was built and delivered under spec and is working on temporary solutions. The city says it'll make adjustments to the snow guards this summer. Well, it's been nearly a month since Santa came to visit, but it felt like Christmas this morning for some students in NANAIMO who spent the day opening up their prizes. Dover Bay Secondary won a North America-wide competition in December for its parody video of Gangnam Style. Even CTV News videographer Chandler Grieve got into the act and to support the school spirit. As the online votes came pouring in, students competed against hundreds of other schools for $30,000 in new classroom technology. An Arizona-based company, E-Instruction, awarded the winnings today. Among the prizes, new software programs for science, health, English, and animation. And the school received an interactive whiteboard.
We decided to flip our school, not flip the classroom, which was what the contest was titled. And we certainly flipped Dover Bay and the community, actually.
I think I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that I'm honored to have these representatives here today, because none of us ever expected to truly win and have the effects of our video be so expansive and successful and rewarding.
The school gets a technician for 5 days as well to show students and teachers how to use the new equipment. Dover Bay says it'll be inviting the community to come and check out the new technology later in the spring.